Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of Total War Arena Unit Overviews. In this series I'll be covering various units, explaining their behavior, background, strengths and weaknesses. In this first episode we will be taking a look at the Hastati, a sword infantry unit available to the Roman commanders. Historically, the Hastati played a huge role in the armies of the early Roman Republic. These men were usually the poorest, youngest and most inexperienced men of the legion, equipped with a rectangular shield and the gladius, a stabbing sword. Besides this, they also had access to several throwing spears called pila. The pre-Marian Roman armies usually fought in a triple line formation. The Hastati formed the first line and were usually the first ones to get into combat. Behind them were the principes, wealthier and more experienced warriors. The third and last row consisted of triarii, who are the oldest and richest men of the Roman Republic. This huge Roman infantry body was then supported by skirmishing velites and cavalry in the form of equites, and of course sometimes allies. As said, in this video we will focus on the Hastati, but all these other units are also represented in Total War Arena, so I'm sure we'll get into those units later as well. In the game, the Hastati is represented as a tier 5 infantry unit for the Romans. In the army tree they can be found between the tier 4 Italian noble infantry and the tier 5 principes. Looking at the stats, they are a solid all-around infantry unit with good overall melee stats. Even though principes are on the same tier and just an upgrade of the Hastati, they are not necessarily better in the game. The interesting thing about the Hastati is that it is a medium sword infantry unit, while principes are a heavy sword infantry unit. This has amazing and huge effects on the gameplay of these units, and I will get into that in a second. First of all, because they aren't heavy, the Hastati unit is a lot faster than heavy infantry like principes and hoplites. Their improved mobility makes it easier to flank around enemy units and to rush capture points and the enemy's base. Their mass does not only affect speed, it also affects their fighting skills. And of course that's one of the most important things in this game. Hastati are the least effective on open ground, open terrain like just grassland, desert or plains. Their general stats are just not that amazing without terrain bonuses, which means they will get destroyed by heavy units like principes, legionaries and sometimes even Greek spear infantry. Fighting on roads is even worse. Some people don't even know that roads give you effects, but they do. Everyone gets a speed bonus on roads, however heavy infantry does also gain a small combat bonus. Medium infantry like Hastati does not get this combat bonus, so it's best to stay away from both roads and open terrain because of this. You want to position your guys in the forest as much as possible, and I will explain why. Forests generally decrease speed, visibility and missile damage for all units, including the Hastati. Heavy infantry however does also suffer from combat penalties when in the forest. This means that principes, legionaries, hoplites and other heavy units will suffer a massive -80 to -90, depending on the type of forest, % penalty, so 80 or 90% to both melee attack and melee defense. The Hastati, a medium unit, doesn't get an attack or defense penalty from fighting in the forest at all. This gives them a huge advantage over heavy units on this terrain type. The 80% penalty will make you able to beat even the best heavy infantry units in the game, because it completely cripples the attack stats of those heavy infantry units, while your stats are still intact. Cavalry and skirmishers also suffer heavily in the forest, which give your men a major advantage here, so when using Hastati it's almost a must to let them fight in the woods as much as possible. Keep an eye out for enemy light infantry though. They are even better in the woods and will beat the Hastati in there. They even get bonuses from fighting in the forest. They are rare, but for example trail spears and gladiators are not enemies you would like to fight head on in the forest. The fact that they are a medium unit also means that they are more vulnerable to missiles and cavalry charges on open ground, so be sure to keep that in mind as well. Besides the gladius sword, Hastati also has access to the pila weapon in the game. These throwing spears have limited ammunition. Once you've thrown them all, the missile attack will no longer be available to you, so be sure to use them wisely. In my opinion, the best target for pila is either cavalry or enemy skirmishers, and they can definitely be a very handy tool in battle, especially in the back of enemy units. Another interesting thing about the Hastati is that it has access to 2 unique unit abilities, which are available to you no matter which commander you choose. The first one is Advance. This is a toggleable ability which gives the Hastati unit a 5% bonus to speed at the cost of a 10% melee attack penalty. Not too special or amazing, but it can be handy for long marches when there are no enemies nearby. Just be sure not to turn it off when you're engaging or to turn it off when engaging an enemy. Just don't forget about it. The second ability is Advance. This can only be used when engaged. It gives the Hastati plus 40% melee defense for 25 seconds at the cost of a 50% penalty to speed. This is actually an amazing boost when you're in prolonged combat, as the speed penalty does not matter in that case. A 40% bonus is quite big, so be sure to use it whenever you can. You should obviously never use it when chasing something like skirmishers, because they will just outrun and guide you. Last but not least, we'll take a look at the upgrades available to the Hastati. Hastati start out with basic equipment, but can be upgraded with better helmets, better armor and a better pila. All of these upgrades only give you positive boosts to stats, so it's just a good buy always. There are no negative effects, just buy them whenever you can. The last thing before you enter battle should be picking 2 consumables. These either boost your attack, armor or your missile block stats. It's really up to you what you choose, but I personally like the ones which increase melee attack, as I want my Hastati to clean the enemy up in the forest as quickly as possible so we can go on and get in another good fight. At the point of this video there are 3 Roman commanders available: Caesar, Scipio or Germanicus. A Hastati armor is usually best when using Germanicus. He's the obvious choice here, as all his abilities benefit the Hastati. Especially the heavy infantry charge and vengeance are extremely powerful abilities, while the other 2 also boost their missile block when needed, the testudo and the ray shields abilities. A original commander might also go for Julius Caesar, however this will be a bit more for experienced players. It's a bit riskier. His abilities are more supportive and do not fully affect the Hastati. Julius Caesar might be a good pick when you mix your Hastati with 1 or 2 missile units, for example. So that's all about the Hastati from me for now. Hopefully you enjoyed this first episode of Total War Arena unit overviews. Be sure to leave me some feedback in the comments down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and you can click the screen right now if you want to see another unit overview. Thanks for watching today, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.